Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mentorship Monday with Michelle and with
Maren. Oh my gosh. Luke is here and he's snoring so loud. Hopefully the
Aw.
noise cancellation, you guys won't be able to hear him, but I'm like, oh my God, simmer down. We're recording.
Yeah, so if you hear the snores, they're just Lukey snores.
Yeah.
They're no big deal. No big deal. They're sweet. They're sweet. So, Maren, I think today is a really good day to check in on the energy, on the current energies, and maybe kind of tap around what we've been experiencing and um, kind of what can we do to help ourselves get through this period. And actually, this period is exciting. So, it's not, well, let me put it this way. A lot of us have been feeling a lot of intensity, but it's a good thing. It's a really good thing because there's so much opportunity in that intensity. But how is the last week been for you? How have things been
Oh my
panning out for
gosh.
you?
I hope the intensity has been good because the intensity's been crazy. But I do have to say this first.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone who wrote in the comments on how to clean the shirt.
Oh yeah.
I am like flagging that episode, and whenever I have a stain, I'm gonna be like, okay, try like this one, try this one, try this one. I got the stain out. Yay!
Yay!
And he was able to wear it to school. So I wanted to
Oh,
say thank you guys. I because we recorded that like and didn't show it
yeah.
for whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't get the comments until after I had actually gotten the stain out. I just had this like genius idea because there's like this like it's a color changing shirt, so it's got this
Mhm.
like almost like a screen print of like a coating that makes it
Mhm.
change colors.
Mhm.
And I kept putting the stain spray like on the coating. And then I was like, what if I flip it inside out and put the coating on the inside of the shirt so it can like attack from the back?
Right. And it
And
worked.
that did the trick. So, because I was like, these are
Good.
easy stains. Why are these
Yeah.
stains not
Yeah.
coming
Well,
out?
that makes sense, right? Like
Yeah.
that makes sense. That's
So I
good.
did
And
that.
I read all of those. I read them too. And I was like, interesting. Okay. I'm like, note taken because I've got a couple shirts that I do not want to get rid of that have spots on them. And I'm like,
Same
one of these
here.
days I'm going to get it out. So I've not yet tried it. I just haven't had a chance, but I plan on doing it. So thank you everybody for your assistance.
Yes.
Because
Thank you so much.
our kids are messy sometimes. Well, and sometimes I can be too. So
Sometimes I can be too.
yeah.
Yes. So thank you guys so much. I what was I gonna say? Yeah. So the little hangers were right, which is so cool. And I had so much fun with those all week. Like I would just pick them up and I'd be like blah blah blah, ask a question.
Yeah.
And it's still so remarkable to me, like how easily those move. Oh my gosh. And after the show, my son was like, what are these? And I was like showing him how to work it. And he was just like, oh my God, because they were just like, he was like, I
That's
can't believe it. I'm like, I know, it's so crazy. I got my
yeah.
husband involved. Everybody's like using them and think that they're
No,
cool. So,
it's a great tool to practice with and to use. And there was one comment from last week's video that just said like I thought the pendulum and the rods are the same because this person loves their pendulum. And yes, like use whatever tool you are drawn to. The rods are just a slightly different experience. It's
mhm.
just a different way of doing it. And the best part about all of this is experimentation. But if you love the pendulum and that's what works well for you, then yeah, of course. One is not better than another, really. It's like we love bringing out all of these different resources and different ways that you can communicate with energy and feel it and work with it. So there's really not one that's better than another. You might
Yeah.
prefer one more than another, and that's okay too.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
Hmm.
pendulum might be better for traveling
Yeah, yeah.
than dowsing rods. You never know.
Yeah, you're out somewhere and you want to kind of check into something. You whip your rods out of your back pocket. Yeah, this pendulum's a little
Might be
more
a little
compact.
pokey sticking in your back pocket, you know, so.
Yeah. Stuff them down the front of my shirt. Yeah.
Anyways, so
Yeah.
the energy has been
Mm-hmm.
very intense this
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
I feel like if I think about something, it's there. Like there's like those connections. Like several times my dad and I have both done that where I've been like teasing him, like, are you psychic? Like, how did you, like either I'll think about him, he'll call me, or vice versa, or
Mm-hmm.
I had an old friend that I hadn't thought about since the summer, and then I thought about her, and then the next day she texted. Like it's just crazy, how this energy is so intense. So I've got several stories for you, Michelle.
Love it.
I text them to you because I
Yep.
didn't want you to forget. So
Yep.
which one should I tell first?
Okay. Well, let's just see here. Give me a second. I should have had it open, but that's just not.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
That's just
just
not.
totally put you on the spot. I was like,
No, that's
and you
okay.
tell me what I should do, Michelle.
Well, I'm actually really curious about the flying saucer or
Okay.
whatever was in the sky. But hang on, let me just look at my list here. So we've got a grandparent, we've got Eric, we've got a tooth, and what we've seen in the sky, something in the sky. So I don't know. You tell me
and
because
the lady that's been with me.
okay, all right.
There's some
Tell
it's
me,
been
are they connected or are they separate? Like do well. Everything is connected. We know that, but
that is
but
true.
is there
Okay.
a flow to it? So you tell me where you want to start.
Okay. I'm going to start with my eye actually, because
Okay.
this is kind of crazy. And this is like, I feel like the energy. And then, okay. So, or maybe I start from the beginning and I don't know chronologically, but this eye, my eye, I don't know. I'm at the point now where I have to go to the Google says I have to go to the doctor. So,
the Google, the
the
Google.
Google says I have to go to the doctor. So I'm a little nervous. So my, like in, when I do readings, occasionally my eyes will flicker
Mm-hmm.
when the spirit comes in and they get close.
Mm-hmm.
And so ever since this has been like a week and a half now, there has been this woman. Well, it's been flickering my eye on my, it's like a little twitch on my female side. So I think it's a
Mm-hmm.
woman.
Mm-hmm.
But, normally the longest I've ever had like a spirit stay with me is like maybe half a week.
Mm-hmm.
And then I figure it out and they move on, and we're like they've either they're for the reading of the person, or
Mm-hmm.
they've come to give me a message and I finally like take the message,
Yeah.
or it's like it's a spirit that needs to be crossed and I finally cross them, like, but whatever. Half a
Mm-hmm.
week has been the
Mm-hmm.
max.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going on a week and a half now with this right eye twitch. And so the Google
Hmm.
says that if your eye twitches for longer than a week consistently, you have to go to
Mm-hmm.
the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So has this been like do you mean consistently like all day or just on and off or how like
okay, on and off all day. But this is why I think it's a woman and not like medical, is
yeah.
that it happens when I have a like expanded thought. So like a which like a high vibrational thought,
Yeah.
like a expansive thinking, like the greater
Yes.
good, or like, it's
Yes.
a high vibe thought, or or I'm actually thinking about spirits and like metaphysical stuff. Sometimes like
Yes.
all these things that have happened in marriage is so unbelievable. I think about them a lot. And
Yeah.
so I'm either like thinking about a memory of a spirit of like a, something, whatever. And then my eye will just start twitching.
Yes.
And so,
I get a lot of tingling like just to kind of verify what you're saying. So I will feel a lot of tingling in the crown area whenever I go into
yes,
those conversations. Yeah. In my head
yes.
or with somebody.
Yes. Okay. I do that too. Like I start
Yeah.
to feel like I call them the wub wubs. Like I start
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
feel like this.
Yeah.
Yes. I never like, and that's how they come in, or that's how I know that they're there. It's like it's like I just like start to feel like static around me, I would call
Mhm.
it.
Mhm. Mhm.
And this is like the fluttering of the eye will be like mid reading. Like it's never been like, hey, I'm here. It's
Mm-hmm.
never the first sign. It's always
Mm-hmm.
been like in the middle, but this is like, and it's like almost like there's like I don't ever want to call something annoying that happens from spirit because I'm so like grateful for this gift, but there is
Mm-hmm.
such a like like the Google says it could be seizures or it could be allergies. And there is like almost like a tiny little like consciousness shift in it. Like
Mm-hmm.
it, there's like I don't know, it's like a reset every time it happens or something. It's really
Yeah.
weird. So it
Yeah.
is rather annoying because it's
Mm-hmm.
very, intense is not the right word, but like
Very
glow
noticeable.
very noticeable. Thank you. It's
Yeah.
not just like I
Yeah.
get poked and prodded all day and that just
Yeah.
feels like a little poke and prod. That's like no big
Yeah.
deal. This is like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And you know,
Oh my God.
I looked into that's what it feels like to me. It feels like it's like this.
Yeah.
And then I was driving and it was happening and I looked in my mirror and I'm like, I can barely see my eye move.
Yeah. Yeah.
How
You
does
can
it
just
feel
feel
so
it.
big
Yeah.
for me? It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't look like anything's happening on my face. So anyways, so the other day I was driving, or actually it was last night I was driving, and it was like a big one and it was really long. And I was like, oh my God, what is this? Like, am I dying? Am I, do I have allergies? Like, oh my God. Hold on. Sorry. Just synchronicities galore. Okay.
Yep.
I just looked up to the sky. So I have a window in front of me and I'm looking up to the
Yeah.
sky going, am I dying? And this white crane just flew across the sky. Like, oh my God.
Like,
I'm freaking out.
is that a yes or is that
I
a
know.
or is that a sign to say I'm okay? Yeah. Can I have some clarity on that, please?
God, that's exactly the way I feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So, anyways, so I'm driving in my car and I'm like, oh my God, what's happening to me? Like, are you like a person or is this physical and I need to go to the doctor? Like, what's going on? And so I looked up to the sky and then I like looked down and focused on my driving again. And the license plate in front of me is 222 and then like three letters.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. But I still, like you, Michelle, I was like, I need more clarity than that. Like, just like 222, is that enough? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, so anyways, yeah, it's been going on for a week and a half, Michelle. What do you think about that?
Well, just feeling the energy of it right now, I know that it's not something that's physical. So I don't feel and just to preface, because I have to say this, if you do have something going on, there is nothing wrong with getting checked out to make sure that it is okay. We're not saying to just ignore your symptoms or anything or believe that everything is metaphysical. However, you have to use your discernment too. And I think that just by what you're saying, there's like a deep down feeling inside that you knew that this was not something actually going on in the body and that there is a metaphysical piece to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, I think you would have been going and getting checked out right
That's
away,
true.
right? Because I know you, and I know you wouldn't just leave that to the
Yes,
side.
this is true.
However, it feels to me like it's energy, and because so many of us, and with your journey, you're at a place where you're getting things are shifting, so it's an increase of energy, it's a change of the frequency, how you're being communicated with, connected with, and our body can do some pretty interesting things to sense communication. And what I feel from this is you have a higher vibrational energy that is letting you know that they're there. And I'm not getting detail exactly to what it is because a lot of times this is about our experience of working through it to figure out what it is. So it's going to come from our investigation of it and not necessarily from, we might get some pieces of the puzzle on the outside and from others, but this to me feels like you're being drawn in deeper. And so I would ask some questions to that energy. Did you do that?
Okay. No. Well, I mean, maybe who are you? But I don't know if I got like
Because
an answer.
you feel the female energy with it, right? Like, do you
Hmm.
always
And
feel that?
sometimes like it'll hit here and then it'll hit on my arm and go down my leg. Like it's very, yeah.
Yeah. So it's very, now here's the other thing. Is it a type of frequency that you've not experienced before? Is it a higher vibrational, and I say that like an expanded vibration, and when I'm saying higher being, I mean because in the web of creation, there are so many different levels, and we're not really talking like this one's better than this one. It's more of it's a being that's in a different plane of existence. So is it angelic? Is it ET? Is it something that carries that feminine energy that maybe you have some kind of a contract or something with, that because of the frequency changes that you're able to receive this being at this time because it is the right time. So I'm interested to see. No, okay, carry on with your story because I'm interested to see if there's something else that comes out of this. Is there, or are you still sitting
Okay.
in that
Well,
space
that's
of,
really interesting that you do say higher level being because I was at my son's soccer game and I was sitting next to a friend and that knows that I am a medium.
yeah,
And I saw this great like flash in the sky.
mm-hmm,
And I call them, I feel like the big flashes in the sky are angels. Like they're just so
mm-hmm,
big. Like they're,
mm-hmm.
um, oh goodness gracious, lady. She's going off on me.
Are you getting it right now? Are you? Yeah.
Oh my God. Are you getting it too?
Yeah, but here's what's interesting. I'm getting a lot of energy up here right now, like up on the top. So this is for me, my male side is my left side. Like male
Oh,
energy comes to my left, female comes to my right, but I'm actually getting it like a little to the left and over into the center, right at the
okay.
same time, right at the same
Maybe
time.
she's doing it because I just said the word angel. So
Yes.
this,
Yes.
okay,
Because angelic beings tend to come through this area, and I point to this area because they don't all come through the same way. And
okay,
so I always feel energy first. That is, I will say 90% of the time, I will feel it before I will get the visuals or hearing anything. I will feel it first.
okay,
So I do believe there is an angelic type presence to it.
okay. I
Yeah.
think so. There's been like a few times where I've been like, I don't know if I was talking about anything. Like sometimes I'll have even it'll be like a good idea, and all of a sudden it starts going off, and I'm like, okay, like that idea, like good to know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
or like there's been like literally 90% of the time it has hit on like something metaphysical or an expanded
Yeah.
idea. And then like 10% of the time I've been like, I can't connect that to something metaphysical or
Yeah.
expanded.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm like, do I need to go to the doctor or, but as I've been talking to you, it just hits so
Yeah.
perfectly
Yeah.
with our
Yeah.
conversation that
Yeah.
it's like it's gotta
Yeah.
be it's gotta be someone.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, back to the story. So I'm at a soccer game and I see this bright like angel orb in the sky and it's
Mm-hmm.
um I don't know, this is me and this is just how I've clarified it and there is nothing. I've tried to buy every book that would like classify like please tell me what color is what and there
Mm-hmm.
is nothing. Everybody, it's like right means this, left means this, and then read the next book and it's opposite, and this color means
Mm-hmm.
this color means
Mm-hmm.
this. Read the next book, it's opposite. So it's like you really do have to figure it out for yourself, right?
And that's the
um,
truth. Yes. Mm-hmm.
when I'm inside the house, the gold and white, like flashes of light, to me are spirits,
Yes.
and the colored ones are more of the higher beings.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's just what I feel.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
then sometimes I do see like black specks. And last night I saw like a black, I don't know, it was like some kind of like weird, like it was like fuzzy around it and clear
Hmm.
and then black. Um, I don't know what that was, but sometimes I see the black specks, and in my mind, I feel like it's someone that hasn't crossed. I don't feel
Yeah.
like I have anything
That's what
negative.
I pick up on. Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because they just don't have the light in them,
Yep.
right? So that's
Yep.
why they're black. That's
Yep.
what I've come through. But anyways,
Yep.
but when I see the white light, gold light outside, it's just so massive and so big. It's like a lightning strike from middle, not like, lightning comes down. This is
Right.
just like it's so powerful. And anyways, so I think it has to be an angel, or it has to be like a higher being, even though it's the white color.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, I was like sitting next to my friend and I'm like, do I tell her I just saw an angel orb? And then in my mind, I'm like, what would I say? Like, how would I describe that? And then I see this plane, and the sun is hitting like the metal like shaft of the plane, and it creates like that like really bright reflection, and I was like, oh, I'll like show her that plane and show her how it like reflects off that plane. And then I like go to look at the plane like one more time before I like look at her and tell her, and the plane's gone, like completely gone. And it was a close plane too, by the way. It wasn't like super far away. This was a close plane. There were no clouds in the sky. And I was like, where did that plane go? That's so weird. Like it was traveling this way, right? Like it wasn't traveling like where like all of a sudden it would be gone into like, it was like, it was gone, like completely gone. And so then I started thinking about it, and I was like, was that actually a plane? Because what I saw was like only this part of it. And like, so it's more saucer shaped.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then I thought about it too, and I'm like, I saw metal, like totally legit, like what,
Yeah.
stereotypical, like the metal, where like
Yeah.
that's where the sun beams off of,
Mm-hmm.
like that metal, not
Mm-hmm.
the sun doesn't normally beam off of like the painted planes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, oh my God, did I just see a saucer? Like, and I'm the only one here. Am I the only one looking up that just saw it just now? Like, oh my gosh. So yeah, I think
And nobody else saw anything around you. Was it
no.
quick? Like, was it really quick relatively?
So fast. Like it was
Yeah.
like where I just saw the flash, like the light reflection,
Yeah.
and then it was gone. So I mean, I don't know how long it was there before I saw it, but yeah.
Do do you think that there is a connection between what you've been feeling with female presence and what you've seen?
Well, it
Do you
has
feel
to,
that?
because she just went off on me when I was telling the story. And then I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure, because at that point she'd already been with me for half a week. So by that point,
Yeah.
like I'm pretty sure she went off when I saw that, and I was like, okay, yes,
So there's some kind of activation that's taking place right now.
there is. There
Yes.
is. Okay. So that leads me to my dreams. Okay.
Okay.
This is the little breadcrumbs of the week, Michelle.
I
Okay.
love it. I love it. It's my
So,
favorite.
okay. So earlier in the week, I had a dream. And the first night I had a dream, I was at this hotel. What's really crazy is I think I was like facilitating visitation dreams, because I remember the first part of the dream, I was loading a bus full of kids,
Yeah.
and I was like in charge of putting all these kids on the bus. And then we stop off at this hotel, and we're at this hotel. I don't, I mean, to me, it just seems like a hotel, because I was in this room by myself. And then across the hall, there was a room. And it's so interesting because that room had like, they were watching an old television set, that would be like
Yeah.
typically where you would put a TV in a hotel room. And then
Yeah.
the kids were kind of like filed almost like out to the door, it's like they kind of like took up and they were even kind of like, there's always like the bathrooms right there. So it's kind of like a little hallway when you walk into a hotel
Yeah.
room.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so there were all these little kids like sitting there watching TV. And I knew that the grandparents were like on the bed laying and watching the TV.
Oh,
And I remember
interesting.
like thinking like, oh, they can't see me or they'll like want to talk to me. So like I need to like be very careful when I like close the door of my hotel room. But it's so interesting that I brought like this busload of kids with me. So I wonder if I was like helping facilitate all these visitation dreams with all these grandkids, like all these kids so they could
Right.
like see their grandparents.
Right.
So, so anyways, because I saw the guy. So the guy was like, "Who's that at the door?" And like I saw him like peek around the corner, and it was a grandfather. And it's so weird too. Like I even knew how he was laying on the bed before I could see him. But anyways, so I'm in my room and I'm sitting in a chair, and in front of me is a rocking chair, and I start like tapping the back of the rocking chair with my foot. And I start tapping it faster and faster and faster and faster, and it just starts going so fast. And then all of a sudden, my grandmother appears, and she's not an apparition. She is like full physical person in
Almost
in the
like
chair.
you got at the vibration. Like I was getting the image of like a hummingbird. You know how like hummingbird goes faster, faster, faster. It's like the vibration. That is awesome.
Yes. And
Yeah.
like I kind of thought about it later too, and I was like, that's kind of what we do is that we like raise our vibrations. And then so it's like there was something with the rocking of the chair, and then it made me feel like, do I need to like, oh gosh, oh no, do I need to sit in a chair and rock? Is what it made me think, and which is like another clue to this breadcrumb story, Michelle.
Yes.
Um, so, anyways, so then my grandmother, when I knew her, she had dentures
Mhm.
and her real teeth were really big and she didn't like her real teeth. And so when
Mhm.
she had dentures, she asked them to make her teeth smaller. And
Mhm.
so when I saw her, I remember that was like the first thing that I noticed was that her teeth were so big
Mhm.
and they looked so different and they made her like cheeks kind of like pucker up differently than I
Yeah.
was like used to seeing her
Right.
in life. But I have like old photos of her and like I remember seeing those like little cheeks, or big
Mhm.
cheeks. Like I remember seeing that and but I like have very few photos of her like with her like real teeth where she's
Mhm.
actually showing them in the photo. But I was like, oh my gosh, like oh, those are your real teeth. Like I knew it. Like and I just remember like looking at her and like, you're beautiful. Like, why didn't you like your teeth? And like, just like she looked so good and her smile is so beautiful. And anyways, I don't know how we got on this topic because I was very busy. It's like I had two dreams going on at once where I was
Mhm.
like at a dentist's office and I was
Mhm.
like giving them teeth for some reason. Like well, it's weird because my grandmother's teeth as well. But
Mhm.
anyways, so um, we got on the topic. I asked her if there were any rules in heaven. And she said yes. And I was like kind of shocked that she said yes, that there were rules in heaven. And I
Mhm.
said, well, what are the rules? And she said, well, we have to help people. And she said that, I felt like she was talking about like, people on earth. And I was like, oh, that is interesting. I was like, that must be why you all show up for my readings like over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And then she was like, and I said, what else? Are there other rules? And she said, yes, you cannot be a part of any hauntings. So if you've crossed over to the other side, you're not allowed to haunt people or scare people. So that if you are a part of a haunting, that's someone that hasn't crossed over.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's so interesting. Okay. And then I can't remember the third one. There was a third one, but there's just so much more to my dream. By the time I woke up, I just couldn't get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so then she disappeared, and my grandfather um, was all of a sudden in the chair. And I just remember I was like looking at him so close, like, oh my gosh, like his skin, I could see the like sunspots and like the freckles, and like just like, oh my gosh, like this is like you. And and I don't know again. Oh, there was by this point there were so many people like starting to get into our room. I had to keep running over and like locking the door and like keeping people out. And this one woman, she kind of like appeared through the ceiling, and I told her to go away. And he was like, "Oh no, I know her. Don't worry, I know her. She's from Macon, Georgia." And I was like, oh, "Okay." And he goes, and I like flashed on her, and she worked at a grocery store because she was like a checker outer
Mm-hmm.
at
Mm-hmm.
cashier at a grocery store. And I look back at my grandpa, and he's got like a hot wing in his hand. He goes, "She makes the best hot wings." And I was like, "Oh, okay." He's like, "They are just so good. I just love to eat them." And I was like, "You can eat in heaven?" And he was like, "Yeah, you can eat in heaven. You just don't need to eat." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I think because I saw her like being the checker person at the grocery store, I was like, "Are there jobs in heaven?" And he said, "Yes, there are." And I was like, "Well, what do you do?" And he said that he helps the Knights Templar. And I was like, "Oh," and like as I was hearing that, I woke up, and I was like, "Oh!" And then my whole male side was like firing. Yeah, my whole male side was firing, and so I was like, "Wow, that was really him."
Maren, the other day, and I don't know if it was this week or the week before, but I had woken from a dream and heard the Knights Templar. Like I heard that. So I don't know, and I'm not sure what that is, and I've seen it come up in other things. So if anybody does know, put it in the comments because I really don't know.
The Knights Templar were like the like Christian, kind of like the Christian army. They were like in charge of, I think, like hiding the Ark of the Covenant, and like they were yeah, like the Christian army is what I would call them.
That is so. Oh, I was gonna say coincidence. We know that's not a coincidence, but there's something. There's something there. So there's. I'm gonna write that down because there's a little. I think there's a little detective work and maybe some spiritual inquiry that needs to be
Okay.
done around that. Okay, continue.
Yeah. Okay. Um, anyways, oh yes, there's lots of History Channel shows on the Knights Templar, so you can learn a
Okay,
lot.
okay, good. I need to learn
Um,
about that.
yeah. Um, anyways, so it's very interesting. And then the next night, I had a dream, and my friend, I had a dream, and I was talking to my friends, and they were like, "You know who you should meet? You should meet my friend. He's a professor." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And so they introduced me to the professor, and he was younger and thin, dark hair. And we hung out. And like one time I came up on him, and he like was kind of like almost looking like he had a seizure. His like head was down, and he was like kind of like, I don't know. And I was like, "Oh my," they were like, "You would love the professor. He like studies metaphysics, and like he's like super into the metaphysical world. Like that's why." And so he was doing that. And I was like, "God, are you okay?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm just having real metaphysical experiences. And like, I'm like really, like, it really
Like,
affects
was
me."
he in meditation or like he was just like tuning into?
I don't know. He was at like a study table, and then like had his head down, and like I was like, "Oh, are you okay?" Like, and but he was like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I just am like experiencing something right now." Yeah. And then so I was like, "Oh, okay." And we hung out a lot, and whenever anyone referred to him, they called him the professor. And then whenever I talked to him, I called him just like, "Hey, you." I just used pronouns. I don't know. So like his name was never said in the dream.
Right, right.
And and then at the end of the dream, I wrote this letter to my husband, and I placed a tooth next to the note. I was with the professor. Yeah. And so I was like, "God, that's weird. 2 nights in a row, like with teeth." So it's super weird and interesting. Um, but anyways, and then I woke up, and it was like I immediately was like, "Oh my God, that was Eric." Like, how did I not pick that up in the dream? Like, but the second I like woke up, I knew it was Eric based off the way Eric looks. And then also I have a he has the thing that we do. So he always touches me on my hand. A long time ago, I asked him like, "Hey, like does it feel like when you're around?" And he like touched my hand and I was like, "Oh, I get that because you're my guide and you're
Mhm.
guiding me probably by my hand." So like we've stuck with it. And so whenever he's
Mhm.
around, I feel him on my hand.
Mhm.
And so immediately I was like, "Oh my God, that was Eric." And then I felt the hand and I was like, "Okay, yep, that was Eric." So that was a really interesting dream. And then I
Awesome.
think that's it for that dream, right? I'm like, okay, and
Well,
then what else,
and
else happened?
on channeling Eric, there's uh a whole section that's done with oh my gosh, I can't remember her name. She's so beautiful. Um one of the mediums, um and he always calls her sweetie. And anyway, they do the Professor Eric, all the Professor Eric, the teaching. So he
Yes,
is Professor Eric. Yes,
yes. I
that
think
is
I've seen
awesome.
that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that is so cool. I
yeah.
just got something about the teeth, by the way. Did you get
Okay.
any connection with that?
No, I Googled it and it was like one website would say this, one website would say that. It was like there's anything meaning you could think of is for teeth on the internet.
Okay, so what I just asked now, what does this mean? And so I was brought back to your grandmother. And so she was showing you the teeth because the teeth made her feel vulnerable, right? So
Oh,
teeth represent vulnerability. Think of how many of us um, feel about our teeth, the presentation of our teeth. What do we look
yeah,
like, right? That dreams about the teeth falling out, about cracking. That's something that can create a lot of vulnerability and self consciousness.
yeah,
And um, what I'm feeling with all of this energy, with this, we'll call interaction with Professor Eric, everything that this is going into a deeper level of trust and vulnerability as you allow a deeper connection. And I feel like this is heading to more of like a trans channel, which is a deeper state of surrender, because we're truly letting ourselves go to allow that energy to
that makes
come
so
in.
much sense because like when I feel the eye flicker, there is like this slight like consciousness like feeling
Mhm.
where I'm like, God, am I having a seizure? Because I do feel it. And I feel like that's why it's like it's not just like I'm feeling my eye flicker. Like it's like there's so much more to it that like
Yes, yes,
makes it more, you
yes.
know,
Yes, and
annoying, but just
you have to work through
intrusive.
those layers of the experience, because it's the mental part, the emotional part, the trust, the like letting go. When you see somebody go into a true trance channel, there is a letting go process, because you're letting go of the ego. You're letting go of the state of you that is in control, but it also teaches that the body is a vessel, right? So when we see the trans channeling, the body is a vessel. It is the container of the experience, and truly our consciousness is not inside the body, it's here. And I've said this so many times, but I'm going to say it again for anybody who hasn't heard it before. The very first experience that I had with Eric connecting with me in meditation, where it was I was really questioning at that time, what does it feel like to be in trance channel? Like, what does that feel like? And so I would go into meditation and just allow Eric to blend with me. And I was, I wasn't even that far into meditation that day. And I remember just kind of slipping into this state. And then very quickly, I was real small down in the bottom, like it was like the back of my head is the only way I can explain it. Everything was very dark, but I could see up and knew exactly where the eye sockets were. I could see, and there was light
Wow,
up there. And so I knew that Eric was up front and center, and I was somewhere way over here,
that's
down
very,
here.
yeah,
It 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 was so, but I understood, like I knew when I saw it, but I was so like, where am I? Like as soon as I had that conscious thought of whoa, like what? And I'm catching it, it popped me right back out of it. Right. So all of these things this is why our healing and our really understanding ourselves. And all of that is so important because it vibrationally, it's our belief system. Yes, I was just hearing. It's our belief system. Our belief system's what we're attached to, because surrender is detachment. We're not detaching from our experience. It's being able to go into a state of surrender and detach from that state of control. Because you think about how we've experienced life, for many of us, most of our lives is like jumping around, like putting out fires, trying to control things. So, it's a very unconscious kind of behavior. Well, so these are all these different states of letting go so that we can allow this blending. And, it's not for everybody, but for you, I really feel like there is a process presenting itself of what's happening. And I do feel that this female energy is also part of it.
Yeah. Okay. Wonder
Interesting.
who she is. I wonder if she's the angel that helped me the other day. With the whole angel experience in bed, remember? And I
Oh,
felt like I was gonna
yes.
spontaneously combust.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Hmm. I think over this next little bit, and maybe might get more this week, but doing a little inquiry in meditation, asking some
Yeah.
questions and kind of seeing what comes out. I think you're going to get a lot of information.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. That
Wow.
feels good.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
glad. Yeah, I'm glad it does. It helps to I felt a little bit like I was going insane with my
Yeah.
eye. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God, what's going on? So
Yeah.
I feel a lot better. I
Yeah.
feel a lot better. Thank you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay, good. Whew.
And,
Well,
one thing I wanted to just say real quick when we're talking about the energy, because my true passion, of course, is healing and energy and understanding how energy works, how we are energy, how we function in life, how do we manifest, how is everything happening. I love diving into that stuff. And something that has come forward this morning in my meditation, I was told that the power of manifestation is at its deepest state right now, and it comes from the inner child. I was like, oh, okay. So now I didn't get real deep into it because I didn't really have the time to keep going into it today. But just in our conversation about energy and the intensity and where are things at, more and more, all of us are going into these new states of understanding ourselves. And we talked about this a few weeks ago, I think, when I was talking about realizing that maybe my perception of certain people or my perception of experiences, well, wait a minute, there's another perception or there's a more expanded perception, and really allowing myself to go into those places. And it's given a lot of neutrality for me. Really allowing me to let go. And again, that's kind of what we're talking about with the trans channeling, letting go these different states of surrender and not being so attached to the stories or so attached to somebody else's story. Because truly, many of us are in this process of coming out of it. Some might be going into it, but of really reparenting ourselves. What does the inner child need? What did that child self of ours not get that maybe was needed? Was there nurturing? We all have these stories of experiences, some that we remember that have affected us over our life, some we're just remembering. There's so many different states, but what makes sense to me is this: manifestation is something that we do uh, organically, naturally. We all manifest because we are energy. And what I know is that we manifest from our state of not what we say we want, but we manifest from the subconscious state of what we believe we are, where our belief state. So the emotions really power it up. There's everything, our
yeah.
words, all of those things are all part of it. But if you're sitting and doing affirmations every day saying, I am worthy. I am abundant. That's awesome. Okay, that's great. But the deeper inner work of why do I experience lack? Where does that thought of I'm not worthy come from? Why do I believe that about myself? Because if you are hearing this information and you channeled this from, I think it was from your higher self, or I can't remember who you channeled it from, but if you are hearing this information, if you're being given the information to understand how you can manifest yourself out of lack, how you can change your circumstances, then if you're living in poverty or you've experienced poverty, if you're being given the information, there is nothing in this life blocking you from having it. If you don't have this information, well, that may be part of your contract to experience that. But if you're hearing this, that means you have the ability to change your circumstances. And so the work with the inner child is, we call it the shadow work, whatever we call it, but you are, let's see if I can put words to this without getting all over the place. But what I've noticed in working with many different people and with my own shadow work is meeting myself at different states. Sometimes I am, in my childhood. Sometimes I am in the teenage years, my 20s, even in my 30s. And, I go back to those different states to examine and re-examine my beliefs at this point, because our beliefs do shift. Our perspective does shift. And it is very important that, when you say, well, am I done the shadow work? Do I ever have to go back to it again? Well, the heaviness may be over. So you get through a point where you really, get past a lot of the heavy, the trauma. But it is always important, no matter what, when you are manifesting, when you have, let's say, for example, I have a dream, I have something that I want for myself, or I see myself doing. So when we're manifesting that, that means we're working towards it from whatever vibrational state we're in right now to whatever the vibrational state is of the person that we are, because that does exist. Everything exists at the same time. But what is the distance? What is the vibrational distance between where we are right now and what it is that we want? So the process of doing that, the process of getting to that point is consistently being able to look at, okay, what are my habits? What are my beliefs? What am I doing at this point? And what no longer fits? What's ready to let go? So all of these big moon cycles, the eclipse, this energy, and there's something right now, and I don't do a lot of astrology. I love it. I love checking into it, but I'm not an astrologist. But Jupiter and Uranus, I know there's a big conjunction happening right now. And this is why I believe the message came up about the manifestation, about the inner child, because are we coming from a place of hurt? Are we perceiving something in our lives right now about ourselves, about anyone else, that comes from this place of hurt, that this is why we believe this? And a lot of it may be self-protection, self-preservation. It may be necessary to get really honest with ourselves about some habits or patterns that we have, because those are the things that we surrender, that we detach from, that we, with compassion, that we start either the process of releasing, because some things can release very quickly and some things take a little more effort. But that process removes these things that are no longer, and I always say, it may have served a purpose at one time, it does not serve the purpose anymore. And you have to be willing to examine those things. You have to be willing to look at those things without fear and with lots of compassion, and to say, this is where I am today. This is what I feel I need to let go of, work through it. And that vibrationally shifts you again. And so many people are in that place right now where there's nothing blocking you. There's nothing holding you back. It truly is, where did these beliefs come from? And the inner child holds so much information, especially for those of us that are so sensitive and empathic. Those feelings that used to come up, and I always say to myself, um, I like to remind myself of how it used to feel when something would trigger me. I'd get this very impulsive, I couldn't function feeling. So I'd either do something very impulsive because I couldn't look at something else, or I was very reactive, but it would take me away from my day-to-day life. I couldn't function. The emotions were beyond able to manage. And I hid a lot of this from many people. So the amount of energy and effort it took to hold that together was, was hurting me without really realizing it. So that I remind myself of that when I'm ready to do something that I feel is hard, or I
Yeah.
feel like I don't know if can I do this? Can I do this? And I remind myself of where I was, and then that allows me, it's almost like that energizes me enough to be able to look at where I am. And of course, I mean, there's lots of tools and help and things now that I didn't have way back then. But each one of us, if we take the opportunity to really look at where we are today, you are not stuck, you are not blocked. You are a free flowing being that is reaching your highest potential. And how high that potential goes is totally up to you, completely up to you. But the hardest, and actually I want to rephrase that, not the hardest, the adversity and the deeper work that many people usually don't see, that we do on our own, that is for us, that now is starting to manifest very quickly into our reality. So if anybody is listening right now and feels in a place where you're going in circles, where you're not sure where is the way out, the best thing that you can do for yourself is to take the time to sit down and say, why am I always in lack? Why does this always happen? And say, well, go back to the experiences of why this always happened. You will always be able to trail it back to some experiences and belief systems. And often it's rooted, because the root chakra is what's doing a lot of healing right now for people. So it's often rooted in something that has to do with feeling safe and supported and deserving and worthy. So that root, that solar plexus work is so important. And I'll share one other thing. This has been a really great tool. I had a client send this to me. This is called The Way of Mastery. And it's by, I don't have my glasses on. It's Shanti Christo Foundation. It's a channeled book by Jesus. And it's transformative teaching. And how I use this book is whenever I'm feeling like, okay, I'm in a period of change. I need to do a little bit of inner work, and I may not know exactly where that needs to go. Sometimes I do. I have an idea, but I take it just like anything else. I close my eyes and I just kind of flip through and I allow the page to come forward. So the page that opens right now is this, and I'm going to read it. Beloved friends, look well, then to see. Where am I perceiving myself as a victim of the world I see? Am I feeling constrained in my relationship? Do I resent my spouse? Do I resent my friends? The spouse, the friend is not holding you where you are. That one does not have the power to take from you your ability to look with love upon him or her, to look with love upon yourself. Is it your job that you hate? No one forces you to drive your car upon the freeway to arrive at your place of employment. No one. Oh, but I must survive. Then you have made yourself a victim to the perception of the need to survive. Any one of you at any time is perfectly free to drop the valuation you have placed upon yourself in the world. So that has been an absolute game changer to play with that book for me, because, and maybe that will, in 2 months, I won't look at that book again, but it does what I need it to do to help me dive in to that deeper place.
I feel like books do come in at a very timely reason for us. I just got, I don't have it down here, so now I have to remember off the top of my head, but it says something about like doing the inner work, and it's by this couple, Mel and I'm gonna have to look it up. But it also, when you're talking about the inner work, and it will say like, oh, do you have issues with relationships? And then it'll say like, this probably happened as a child. This is the chakra you need to heal. This is like some ways that it might come out in your life. It's very like diagnostic. I really like it. I'm going to find it I bought it through Amazon.
Yeah.
So I'm going to find it in my Amazon orders here. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Where did I find it? Of course, I can't find it. Anyways, the inner work right here. No,
is that what it's called?
Nope, that's not it. No, it's with hold on. Yeah. The Inner Work. It is called The Inner Work, and it is by Matthew Micheletti.
Matthew Micheletti. Can you spell the last name?
Yep. Micheletti. Oh, what is that one? Okay.
Oh, Micheletti.
Oh, did I say it wrong? I'm sure I did.
No, I'm just saying, I'm making a point of my name being in there. Micheletti.
Oh, yeah. There's two. He has two.
Okay. And which one is the one that you recommend?
The Inner Work is like the personal one, and then the Inner Work of relationships is like if you have, it's designed the exact same way.
Oh, nice. That's a great one to check out. I'm going to check that one out too. I mean, there's never, I know, I love diving into all this stuff, and it's just so helpful and can really bring us to these deeper states of understanding and release. And that's what it's all about. It really is to help us have more joy, more peace. And I definitely feel that. I'm very grateful to feel that today. I'm so grateful for you, Maren, and everybody
Michelle,
else watching.
I'm so grateful for you, and I'm so grateful for all of our listeners who are going on this journey with us together, because it's wild and exciting and expansive, and it really helps to have a community. So thank you all so much.
Thank you guys. We're so glad you're here. Well, on that note, I think we are ready to wrap it up for another Mentorship Monday magical manifestation with Michelle and Maren.
Wait, what'd you do? Oh, the kiss, the hug. My son was like, I was like, watch, Grandma Nana can kiss you. I said, Grandma Nana, give Tate a kiss. And it was like,
oh, he must. Do you love that? Do you just love that?
Oh,
that's so good. That's so fun. Yes. If you guys have any experiences like that with the rods, or if you were able to make them for yourselves, or, drop them in the comments, let us know, or any stories, anything that you want to share, we love the comments. Great.
Yes. So. All right. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, everyone, so much. We hope you have a great week.
Yeah. Have a great week, everybody.
Next week.
Bye.